Good afternoon, teachers. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. For those of you in the U.S., I hope you had a wonderful long weekend, a great Labor Day, hopefully with your families. And for those of you who are members of the Jewish faith, I would like to wish you a Happy New Year, Happy Rosh Hashanah. And with that said, I would like first to take a look at our agenda for the third week, September 7th. The top of the agenda starts, as it always does, with our learning targets. And this week we're going to be looking at racism, both individual and institutional in the schools, as well as discrimination. Diving a little deeper into a topic that's addressed in the chapters, or the book Affirming Diversity and Critical Race Theory. We're going to look at an article on that topic, and then a couple of resources on stereotype threat. And I'm going to ask you to apply some of those concepts to your classrooms, schools, and your communities. So after the learning targets, the agenda starts with an overview of the readings from last week. And as I mentioned before, this section sort of serves as a lecture, if you will, if we were meeting face to face. And then after that, we have our readings for this week. And I'd like for you to read chapter 3 in Affirming Diversity, and then also in Restoring Opportunity. I have copied that, and that's at the top of Moodle. In addition to that, on the topic of institutional racism, I have a document that I've put together that looks at some of the segregation that's taking place in public schools. And I just picked several schools that are in states where I attended school, taught school, or my children attended school. And I encourage you to look at the demographics, the racial demographics of the schools around you. I also have a couple of articles on this topic. And then I would like for you to click on this worksheet that I've created, and using data from Jefferson County Public Schools, take an authentic dive into some of the topics that are discussed as it relates to institutional racism in Affirming Diversity and other reasons. Transitioning to the next item on the agenda, I'd like for you to read an article about critical race theory, as well as look at a couple of resources on the topic of stereotype threat. And then I have your 3 discussion forum prompts, and you can pick one of these to address using the discussion forum at the bottom of the agenda. And as has been the case previously, you will make your comment by Saturday and then respond to 3 of your classmates' responses by the end of the day, by 11:55 on Monday. With that said, you probably noticed that I have graded your first week discussions. I try to make comments. I have made comments on all of your discussions. Unfortunately, I'm not able to, just for a number of reasons, primarily because I have 50 students in the 2 sections, so I can't make as long a comments as I would like to, but I do read them all and do make comments on them. Oftentimes I'll ask questions, and sometimes those questions are just meant to have you continue to think about through the prompt. Just real quickly, a comment on the responses. Very powerful. The prompt that I read was primarily folks wrote about their journeys through the multicultural context of education. I was going to say public education, but public as well as private. A few folks wrote about the other prompt, which I appreciated because that's the first time I had shared that prompt. But just some very, very powerful stories about your personal journeys. I just really want to take the time to thank all of you for your thoughtful reflections, first and foremost, but for sharing those personal stories with me and your colleagues. The next item on the agenda is the ISM paper. I have a separate video that I've created for you here to go over the ISM paper. If you have any questions, you can post them here. And as always the case, as is always the case, you can call me, email me, text me about that. I'm also have a day set aside, the dates on the calendar for you to meet with me on a Saturday. That's optional, but if you have questions, you want clarification, I have a date set up for that. And then the next item is just a summary of this week's assignment along with due dates. And then I have the discussion forum thread, the link for you to make your post. And then below that this week I have a section titled Extended Resources. Those are not required, but if you want to explore some of the topics that were presented this week further, then I have some items listed there. A lot of them are podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of them are from NPR, The Daily, and you may find those informative. Okay, again, hope everybody had a nice weekend. Hope everybody's school year is going well and that everybody is safe and well. And I look forward to talking to you again